Today's footage was from the end of September, from 9/28, and it's time now that we've got the mill running. It's time to come and gather some logs. And one of the first logs I wanted to get over there was a ash. I've got a friend up on the peninsula that is willing to trade me some ash logs for some Doug fir and cedar, so I figured I'd cut one up for him and kind of show him what he'd be getting. So I was trying to figure out a decent one, and kind of a middle-ish sized one. And then I, obviously had to put some of the others back, and then come over here to set it aside and grab some more of the noble firs so that we can get them milled up. And it's the same kind of thing, trying to sort of pick through and get the ones that looked like they were going to give me a decent size. It's kind of hard to tell in the footage. In fact, even from the backhoe, sometimes it's a little bit hard to tell the size of those. And sorry about that. The suction cup decided it didn't want to hold for some reason. Took me a minute to realize that it had fallen. But it's odd that what a little bit of height, even just sitting on that backhoe, can do. And it's always surprising to get off the backhoe after you've dug a ditch, dug a hole or something, picked up a log, and then think, oh, this is a small log or a small hole or whatever. Then you get off and it's like, wow, that's actually a lot deeper than it seems. So now we're going to try and sort these so that I can use the forks to actually come back and pick them up. And the backhoe works okay for a lot of this, but this is one of those things where having an excavator would actually come in super handy, because then I could move more freely and adjust angles and whatnot. But sometimes you gotta do what you can with what you've got. So since we have the backhoe, that's what we'll use. Then comes the challenge of trying to pick them up, and again, it's kind of surprising sometimes how small they seem when you're not the one trying to roll them. Sometimes a little change in angle or position is all it really takes. Charlie kept getting in the way, so he was in a little bit of trouble trying to tell him to go home, and he doesn't like that. He's still sitting under the F-250, just waiting for me to leave so he can go back and play with Emily some more. And I was thinking, with the backhoe, I could set these kind of off to the side at a little bit of an angle, and then pick them up and move them onto the mill. And as you'll see in a bit, that sort of worked, but not really. So now again, it's just a matter of trying to hopefully get everything set up. And I did a decent job. Then on to take these over. And then we can start milling. So at this point I'm trying to position myself to where I can get them. And that one went smooth. This one not so smooth. It's kind of nice having that extra length to the mill because it does allow me to do, if it's a regular length log, 8 or 9, 10 feet, I can actually set them up to where I can do 2 logs at a time. And the first few cuts, coincidentally, I didn't do this intentionally, but having the bigger log on the left actually makes it easier, because then I can take a few cuts off there and work that until it's closer to the size of the smaller one. I think that's what I did. And then once I get them to the point where I'm making the same cut heights, then I can just go over both of them, one right after the other. Those headphones were what I had to stop at the house to grab. I've watched a bunch of different ways of how to mill, and that method seems to be what makes the most sense for me, at least. So I put the blade right in the middle, right across the center of the pith, or as close as I can, and then kind of see where things are at. Then I go up, if I need a 2x4, then I go up by 2 inches and then see where I'm at, and if I still have enough, I go up another 2 inches. That way when I make that first cut, I know I'm not really losing a whole lot. I believe at this point I was at 5.5 hours on the mill when I finally ran out of fuel. I bet the next next time I have to fill that up will actually be closer to 6 hours per tank, because I no longer, like when I first started, I didn't have the electric start, so there was the lazy side of me that kind of wanted to leave the mill running more, so I didn't have to go walk around and pull start it every time. Not that it has a hard time pull starting, it actually does extremely well there, but just to not take that extra time. And having the key allows me to just shut it off and start it back, like so, do a cut and then shut it off, come back and turn it on, make my cut. So it uses a lot less fuel that way, which obviously decreases cost of production. And you can see here I'm clearly not making them the same size to begin with. Oh, never mind. I did. I think what I actually had to do is that first the left log got a 2-inch piece, yeah, and then the right log got a 1-inch piece to get them down to the same height. And those boards, I believe the next cut I'm going to be doing is bringing this down to 6 inches, so then I stacked everything up so I could start taking a little bit off and get a nice straight edge on one side of those boards. Then I can flip them over. And if anybody out there has a better idea or suggestion, I'm not set or firm in my ways. That particular one I realized had the other side had a bit more curve to it because of the bell, and so I flipped it over so that that bell would be hanging down off the end of the in between the bunks. That way I felt like that would give me a better cut. Anyway, as I was saying, this is the kind of thing I'm not the type of person to get set in my ways, with the exception of if the suggestions are taking steps backwards. That happens too often at work, for instance. They change the program that we have to use, and the new system doesn't work because it's still in development, or it's just flat out doesn't work. Takes more time, requires more effort, whatever. But for the most part, anytime I'm given a suggestion of making something faster, easier, better, more efficient, I'm totally open to that, because I like to be lazy. I like to relax and enjoy life, which means that if I don't have to do extra work, I don't want to. That's one of the nice things about there's a Facebook group there's a couple of them that I've joined. One is for Woodland Mills in general, for all of their products. And then there's another one for Woodland Mill sawyers in the specific to the Pacific Northwest. And that's been actually a really good one to join, because I've met quite a few people ranging from up in Bremerton all the way down to down around Portland, which is great since I'm kind of in the middle of all of that. But we've had a couple of get-togethers where we just had brunch basically and just sat and talked, and it's pretty cool to be able to see how other people are doing it. See photos of their mills, see how they're set up, talk about different techniques, different problems they're having. Get ideas and suggestions on how to fix things and how to change things. So now I've got all the 2-inch pieces cut, taking them down to where I get the next size that I need, and I believe these all became 2x6s was the final product or final cut. And clearly some shelter and some lighting is definitely on the to-do list, so that I can not have to worry about what time of day it is. And like I would be out here milling far later if it were a little bit more feasible, but it can get pretty cold when you're out there milling in the rain, so I don't tend to do that as much as I would like. And the same thing with at nighttime. Even I've got this. This is actually a DeWalt 20-volt work light, and it came free with a Black Friday special or whatever. You order a tool and battery pack, and you get a free X whatever it is, and some of them came with a option for some of the smaller tools, which I already had, didn't really need. So I got the extra work light because I definitely needed those. We've got 2 of these guys, and they are amazing. It's kind of hard to see there, but I'm doing 2 logs again, and I take that back. I was prepping and just getting logs set up for the next time. So now I'm unloading. Putting all this stuff away. But the right of the 2 logs was a little bit frustrating because it decided it wanted to roll off the back on part of it, and the stops didn't really help. So there's where we're at, just putting everything away. Thank you as always for watching, and God bless you and yours, and stay safe out there.